Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Arsenal fans have flown over a plane saying Wenger out, no contract before the game between West Bromwich Albion and Arsenal. Does it send any sort of reminders through to you as a Manchester United fan as to we did something similar with David Moyes? Now, I've got no love for Arsenal. Obviously, I've got no love for Arsenal. I've got no love for Arsene Wenger. But what I do have is compassion and empathy for the human race. And I just think it's compelled me for two reasons. One, because I just wonder where football's going in general. And two, because it hits home to us United fans who were against the Moyes banner, just how wrong and embarrassing that was. But then to compound that as another club and copy something that most Manchester United fans would wish would write away from our history doing that to Moyes. Moyes was a clown. He was a bad manager. He never should have been appointed. I was glad he got the sack. But the plane episode was just embarrassing. And for a club to go and copy that when we as a club and as fans would happily write it away from our history, just really, is it unfair to just level it at Arsenal fans? Because I don't think Manchester United fans would allow that to happen again. But to go and do it is just embarrassing. And to go and do it to somebody like Arsene Wenger, I think is just... It's a sad state of where football's going, really. I mean, United Stand is obviously a fan channel and we cross the line and sometimes we get over passionate about things. But that is just... This... You know, football is the fans' game and fans definitely should have an opinion. But the diatribe, viral nonsense that's been going against this manager and other managers... I mean, throw Ranieri into it. Never be repeated what he did with Leicester. Fans were short-lived unhappy, but now they're ecstatic again because players who failed to turn up for Ranieri, this great manager, suddenly they try and they're back winning games again and doing great in Europe. There's no coincidence there. There's no coincidence there that Leicester players mutiny, down tools for Ranieri, and now suddenly they do it again. Chelsea players last year, not the first time with Chelsea, players down tools for Mourinho. He leaves, new manager comes in, they start trying again. I mean, Eden Hazard is a disgrace. Last year, he was invisible. The season before for Mourinho, best player in the season. This year, one of the best players of the season. And as fans have become so flippant, and we're meant to be the people who, you know, we're the grounding morality of football. And I wonder. I think Manchester United fans are fantastic, but we did make that mistake. We did make that mistake with Moyes. We got lost in this moment of having to get rid of him. And he was going to go. The club got sacked Moyes before the end of the season. As soon as Champions League football wasn't possible, they realised their mistake and they got rid of him. That plane makes no difference. That plane today makes no difference. But what it does for Arsenal, I've called this video Arsene Wenger, rest in peace. He will leave Arsenal. And he will leave... I'm sure they'll clap him if they win the FA Cup and they get top four, but it will be a hollow clap, and it will leave him probably their best manager that's ever been, apart from somebody years and years ago, Chapman I think his name was, but not that I know loads about Arsenal. I'm just interested in football. But yeah, like I say, I don't like Wenger. I'm sure Mourinho doesn't like Wenger, but I have compassion for a human being, and I just think it's just bloody embarrassing. He's clearly going to go at the end of the season anyway, and these fans, I don't know where... I'm not putting the blame at Arsenal Fan TV here at all. I think there are independent fans who don't go on there, and they just get it in their head that this is our club, we're getting rid of him, and I find it an absolute disgrace. I've got to say, it is ridiculous to force a manager out like that, in that way. I just think it makes football pantomime, and I'm sure the people who put money into football and the media companies love it. They want it to be bigger than football. They want it to be drama. They want to be able to sell papers, this, that and the other. But where's the morality gone? I mean, our forefathers and grandfathers and mothers and whatever who watched football 50, 60 years ago, when terrace standing, you know, grounds were getting over 100,000, packed in. This would just be total foreign to them because all they wanted to do was go and watch football. And I'm sure there are clubs like Arsenal, United, Liverpool who 50, 60, 70 years ago had runs of bad games. But people weren't outside in little groups doing Wenger outband. Well, obviously not Wenger, but the equivalent of that. I think football's lost its class. I really do. And I'm not for 1 minute downtreading what we do on the United Stand, what other channels do on other channels like, you know, your Full-Time Devils, your Arsenal Fan TV, your Red Men TV. Fantastic what they do, but it's this pantomime thing that's become... I just found it abhorrent. I really did. And I know we're a Manchester United fan channel, and I'm not reacting in the whole Wenger out thing, oh, because that's Arsenal's bag. It's just... as a football fan, I feel uncomfortable. I feel disappointed and embarrassed for them, and I don't even support them. And it really, really did resonate and bring back unhappy memories about what we did to Moyes. I don't like Moyes. He never should have been Manchester United manager. But to have a plane go over in front of the TV cameras, in front of the watching world, in front of your own supporters, it's degrading. It's embarrassing. It's like if you went to work on Monday and everybody got you round in the work car park, and then a plane went flying over saying, you know, Dave's got a small knob, and then everyone's laughing at you. It's humiliation. It is humiliation. It is bullying. It is actually, let's call it for what it is. It's bullying. It's bullying. You might not want Wenger to be your manager. You might not have wanted Moyes to be your manager. I certainly didn't. But I didn't feel compelled to get a plane saying you're useless, get out of our club. It is bullying. It is trying to force somebody out, and I think it's tactless. I really do. But that is my opinion on it. I really do. And I do. Somebody like KC187 just said, nicely put. We have become reality TV, and I think. I don't want to. I should leave this back for my channel really. And there is a United centric video coming up live at 2:30. So this is a bonus one anyway. This is a bit of a rant. And I was thinking about which channel to put it on, but it is United centric as well because it's to do with the Moyes thing, and it really stirred something up that I don't think we ever really covered at this. Well, we didn't exist at the time of Moyes. You know, we probably missed out on 500,000 subscribers there, because I think if you're around at a time when everyone's Moyes out, you get loads of views, don't you? So we can actually, you know, we can honestly say as a channel that we weren't part of that Moyes out thing because we didn't exist then. But, and I don't want to exist when you're forcing a manager out. I didn't want Louis van Gaal to be at the club. I did a few videos saying I want Louis van Gaal out, but I wasn't about to get a bloody banner and do it. I just think it is really tactless to do that. But in general, what you were saying there about that, I mean, Big T says, what are your thoughts on Troops and DT? I don't watch Arsenal Fan TV. Apparently they're pantomime, fan blood, whatever, you know, villains and you know, maybe they're on the dole, maybe they're not. I don't know them. I don't know them. If they are passionate fans giving their opinion, that's fine. But you tell me, are they fans that are respectful of a human being? Would they want a banner? If they want a banner flying over the ground, then for me, I don't really respect that sort of fan. That's where the line stops. By all means, go out and have your rant after a game. I mean, I do it every time. Every time. Like, you know, I didn't do it on Thursday, to be fair. Because I was happy that we won. But I've done it before, even under Mourinho. I've done it straight after a game, a couple of minutes after the final whistle. You go live, passion, frustration comes out. 12 hours later, I'm like, oh, God. And thankfully, a lot of you have put that in the comments of the video. But 12 hours later, I'm like, I don't feel like that now. That initial anger and everything's gone. But arranging a plane isn't an initial reaction, is it? It is lower than low. But I agree with that previous comment that it is the X Factor society that we have at not Manchester United, in life now. And it started, what, 15 years ago now, maybe longer, where every single person in society doesn't want to work hard and feels that life owes them a living. That's not fair to say every single person, but because of X Factor and things like that, everybody thinks that their voice matters, and everybody thinks that the world owes them a living. And in some ways, your voice does matter, but it's respect for everybody else. There is none. It's like, I'm going to tread on people. I'm going to do this. I don't like it. I don't like that. I think fans have to have a voice. They always have, though. We've always had supporters clubs. We've always had fanzines. They're the lifeblood of football. But it's just so cringe. It's so cringe. And like I say, I've never really been a fan of Wenger. I want him to stay at Arsenal because they won't ever win the title with him. But what I will say is what I said a few weeks ago. When he goes, he's been at that club for like over 2 decades. From little 8-year-old kids right the way to the first team. He's made that club what it is. And if they think that Wenger's going to go and everything he's done, and they're going to bring somebody in and they're going to start winning league titles, I tell you what, look at Manchester United for the last 3 years. And those people who say, well, Conte did it. Conte inherited a title-winning side that are down tools for Mourinho. He comes in the summer, buys the player who won the title for Leicester, adds it to a team that basically were champions that couldn't be arsed, and they win the title, and they've not got European football. Very hard for any manager to come into a club that's broken and make them title contenders. It won't happen. And Arsenal will probably, I would predict, in a year's time, they'll get a new manager in who's got owners. I mean, Wenger does a great job in relation to the money because they don't like to spend money. They want to take money out of the club, their owners. Wenger does a fantastic job every year getting them in the top 4. And I think he'll do it this year, to be honest, because they're so experienced at doing it. And in a year's time, I think Arsenal probably will be battling for the top 4 again, and they'll be doing this. And the trouble is, once you start doing it, once you start being negative about your club and your manager, then it's very hard to go back to being empathetic and patient. I mean, we suffered with it as United. You know, we had Moyes and we got Van Halen. And then, to be fair, we were quite patient. But that second year, we were like, this isn't good enough, and he gets forced out. I think with Mourinho, we've got that class and empathy and patience back as a club and as fans. There's still detractors, there always will be. But we are patient. You know, it's not been great under Mourinho at times. Some of his tactics have been, you know, not quite there. Some of his substitutions, some of his persistence with certain players. There's been big dips and there's been good highs, but we've been patient. And I just suspect that Arsenal will never do that now. I think they've gone down that road of pantomime. And you don't come back from a banner. You don't come back from a banner. We are mocked for it even now. And I don't know whether there'll be Arsenal fans watching this, but I know there'll be a lot of Arsenal fans embarrassed by that today. And I hope that in time they will be embarrassed about it and they will regret it. But why do it? We as a club, Manchester United, we did it to David Moyes. We have to live with that. As collectively, you know, you win, lose, you draw together as fans. And some fans decided to put that banner up over our ground. And when it went over, some fans in the ground cheered it. So we have to take that on the chin as a club. But now we regret it. We regret it. And every club that's not Manchester United knows we're embarrassed about it. So for Arsenal to go and do it, that's worse than us being the first to do it. Because we did it and we were mocked and we were embarrassed. For a club to go and copy it, it's 10 times worse because you know it's classless, you know it's tactless, and it's also very, very sad to do that to a manager like that. But Tyler says he disagrees with the playing, but he wholeheartedly agrees with Troops and DT. The club lacks ambition from the board down to the manager. They need a complete revamp. Tyler, you're probably right, mate. You are probably right. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm sure they're very frustrated with every year going out the Champions League in the first knockout round, just being 4th, never being title winners. They should have done. I can look at Arsenal as a non-Arsenal fan and tell you that Arsenal, up until the Invincibles, were always a big threat to us. And the one thing that Wenger's never done in the last however many years it is since they've won a title, he never replaced Henry. I always said for the last 7 or 8 years, if they bought Benzema and put him up front, they'd win the title. They've always lacked a striker to play with the midfield creators that they've got and the backbone. But a striker is so obvious. So I understand Arsenal's frustration because I can see it as a non-Arsenal fan what their issue is. But for them to... There's no need for them to do what they've done today, and there's no need for them to be so hateful towards a manager that basically put them back on the map. I mean, previous to Wenger, they had George Graham, and anyone who was old enough to remember that, it was awful. It was bloody awful. They were so bad. I mean, and they do tend to play some of the best football in the league under Wenger. So, you know, what do you want? But it's the embarrassment. It's the embarrassment. I hope Arsenal do lose today because obviously it helps Manchester United. But I've had my say. Get comments in below. It's more of a topical, big thing. I mean, how did you feel about the Moyes thing? Did you think it was right? Do you think this is right? Do you think fans turning football into a pantomime is right? I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what, the media love it. They absolutely love it. They want fans to keep doing it because one thing it does do is we, as the United Stand and other outlets, are trying to make fans be credible and make their opinion be, you know, right up there with these. You know, you got Michael Owen on BT Sports being paid millions a year, and he thinks Liverpool won the title. He thinks Liverpool are Europa League champions and says it publicly, and he says United haven't been beaten for ages and we got beat 3 days ago. So I want fan opinion to be right up there. I don't want it to be in the pocket of the media or anything like that. I want it to be right up there as an independent voice and a credible voice, and I think you lot all are. But I think when people like Arsenal Fan TV do what they do, and I think Robbie is credible. I think it's the people who come on front of the camera sometimes are a bit of an embarrassment to fans. But it's pantomime. That's fine. But especially when people start doing planes over, and that is fan driven, I think that really discredits the fans' voice and makes us a bit like, you know what? I think there'll be a lot of ex-professionals. There'll be a lot of people high up in the media who, in private this afternoon, will be going, yeah, you know, these fans who we take all the money off, you know, they're idiots. They're absolute idiots. Look, And they have a point. They have a point, because there's no credibility in getting a bloody banner up and flying it over a ground and degrading and humiliating a professional person who's put your club back on the map. And I'm not talking about David Moyes, I'm talking about Wenger there. We should collectively as fans mock that, because it isn't right, I don't think. Thanks everybody for watching. We could be 7th, Alex Cook. We could be 7th by tonight if Everton win. But get commenting below. We've opened up the debate. I'm back live in an hour at 2:30 with a very Manchester United centric video, which will be after the Arsenal game. We won't be talking about Arsenal in that, don't worry. So I'll be live in an hour. But this is just an instant reaction. I did it about the Suarez thing and sort of made it, would we want him at Manchester United? And we've done this because we did the plain thing first. How does it make you feel? Get commenting below, give us your thoughts, and I'll see you in an hour.